Thanks for joining us, Einat. We were going to talk anyway tonight, but this development overnight is huge news. What's your reaction?
First of all, they're giving oversized importance to two ministers, one who is polling consistently at 0 seats, and another who is struggling because the gap between his big mouth and gross incompetence is being revealed to the Israeli public. So this kind of gives them a big boost and global importance that they do not deserve. But beyond that, the official position of the countries who are sanctioning these ministers is that they're doing it in order to promote a two-state solution. And those are all countries that are funding UNRWA, the organization that ensures that a two-state solution will never happen because it keeps feeding the Palestinian delusion that there will be no Jewish state, the violent and dangerous idea of return in the name of which the October 7th massacre was carried. Norway is even a country that has recognized Palestine while being one of the biggest funders of UNRWA. Again, a complete inconsistency and opposition. Because
I'll just hold you up there because I want to come back to UNRWA in a moment. But just on these sanctions and these two ministers, that's the point, isn't it? These ministers don't represent the actual government's position. Their position is not adopted by the government, so that the Israeli political system is handling anything it disagrees with them over anyway.
Of course, and you said it correctly in the beginning. It's a democracy, it's a coalition government. People have different views. It's a legitimate view. And again, these are two ministers that are now granted a kind of global spotlight, while in the Israeli public, as I said, one of them, Smotrich, has been consistently polling at 0 seats, and the other is struggling because of revealed incompetence.
I was in Israel just 2 weeks ago and they were roundly scoffed at. Let's have a look at what our Foreign Minister Penny Wong has had to say.
We believe a two-state solution is the only way to end the cycle of violence. And regrettably, it is also clear that the Netanyahu government rejects it.
Now, this stuff about a two-state solution and it being rejected now by the Netanyahu government is just fanciful, isn't it? Because, I mean, at the moment, Israel is trying to defeat the Hamas terrorist group, which, of course, doesn't want a two-state solution. Who would Israel actually negotiate a two-state solution with at the moment? There is no Palestinian representative authority anywhere.
No one, and it doesn't have to do just with Hamas. For the last century, the Jews have accepted every two-state solution, provided one of the two states is the Jewish state. And the Arabs, the Palestine Arabs, have always rejected a two-state solution if one of the two is the Jewish state. So anyone who genuinely cares about promoting a two-state solution, one Jewish, one Arab, has to deal with the core issue of the conflict, which is the Palestinian Arabs have never accepted a two-state solution if one of the two of them is the Jewish state.
Exactly. That's the hurdle that we need to get over. Now, you started to talk about UNRWA. That's the United Nations Relief and Works Organisation, the UN aid organisation in Gaza, been operating in the Palestinian territories, but in Gaza in particular of late. It's been the focus of some bans. We know its people were caught up in October the 7th, yet other countries have restarted funding UNRWA, including Australia. You've done a lot of work on this. So explain to our audience, if you can, a distillation of your work on UNRWA and why you believe it's a malevolent influence in the region.
UNRWA is essentially an organization that started with good intentions to settle the Arab refugees and was hijacked by the Arab refugees in Arab countries in order to funnel Western money and UN legitimacy to ensure the continued war against the Jewish state. UNRWA is essentially at the core of telling the Palestinians, you don't have to come to terms with the Jewish state. Keep dreaming, 1 more generation, 5 more generations, and the Jewish state will disappear. It is the womb in which every Palestinian terrorist organization, from those who carried out the massacre of the athletes in the Munich Olympics, the Israeli athletes, was born, as well as Hamas. It's not just a few members who participated in the massacre on October 7th. If you had asked the question, How many of the participants in the massacre were educated by UNRWA on the idea of no Jewish state and the violent ideology of return? How many were registered by UNRWA falsely as refugees, even though they're not refugees by any international standards? And how many were placed in neighborhoods that are falsely called refugee camps, even though they're not camps and no one there is a refugee? You would have found that all of them are essentially graduates or people registered by UNRWA. It is the organization that literally underwrites the ongoing Palestinian war against a Jewish state, and it is funded by Western countries that are blind to its real purpose.
Einat, Wilf, thanks for joining us. Welcome to Australia, and thanks for joining us.